I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Affordable Housing and Community Equity Development Commission on December 8th. And for the purpose of our public hearing on the Community Development Block Grant fiscal year 2022 progress review and the fiscal year 2024 project presentations. So in order to do that, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Teresa Wellman.
Hello, everybody. If you could put up the presentation and let everybody in.
Can you see this?
Yes,
And you want everyone, all the public in now?
yes.
Okay, give me a sec. I have to stop sharing the screen to do that.
Okay.
If you're in the attendee list right now and you see me send a prompt to your screen asking you to join as a panelist, if you accept that, it will let you on and you can mute and unmute yourself and turn your video on and off.
Hey, Teresa.
Hey. Do we have everybody?
I sent them all yes,
Oh,
everyone's in
yeah,
the
great. I
meeting
think
as a
we
panel.
do. Great. Sorry to keep everybody waiting. And thank you for coming. Tonight, we're going to have a quick public hearing on the Community Development Block Grant Program. We're going to talk about one of the HUD requires us to have 2 public hearings for the program in a year. And the first public hearing we're supposed to talk about performance and then needs. So I'll talk about the performance for 2022. And as far as regarding the needs, that's where I'll turn it over to you guys to make presentations on your projects, so we can understand what the needs are in the community, how your programs are going to solve those needs. So next slide. So we have a document called the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, and we do it at the end of the fiscal year for that particular CDBG. So this one would be for CDBG fiscal year 2022. And we're required to evaluate past performance, make sure that we've met all the national goals, and discuss the budget and how we spent the money. So in 2022, we had $303,000. We spent $460,000. Some of that was from the previous year. And 100% of that money went to activities that benefited low and moderate income persons. Next screen. I'm not going to expect you to be able to read this. It's all in the annual report. But basically, we have several categories where we have goals and objectives. Affordable housing, which relates to owner-occupied housing and rental housing. Homelessness, non-homeless special needs is more for disabled. Community development is all of the public services, most of which you guys are involved in. And then economic development. Next slide. So this is how we use the funds from that year. We spent about $86,000 to rehab 2 homes, owner-occupied homes. We worked with the Housing Authority and spent $183,000 to install smoke detectors and do electrical panels at Robinwood, and to help with the pre-development costs at Morris Blum Apartments, which are going to be renovated soon. $6,000 went to case management. That was the Lighthouse Shelter. $59,000 was for our general admin and fair housing activities. 30,000 plus was to support the Community Action Agency, Blessed Intact Ministries, the Boys and Girls Club, Center of Health, and Restoration Community Development Corporation. All of those groups assisted in total over 8,000 people. We spent close to $60,000 renovating 4 residences with special needs. These are people with disabilities, and we spent $8,000 for job skills training for 59 low and moderate income individuals. Previous year's funding included the redevelopment of Newtown 20 public housing, which is now a public-private partnership with 78 new affordable housing units. Next slide. We also got money for COVID CARES Act funding, and the city received 2 federal CARES Act grants totaling close to $500,000. And there is a list of the organizations that received COVID money. Next slide. So out of that COVID money, 68,000 was spent to provide food programs that were provided by Blessed Intact and the Center of Health and Restoration Community Development Corporation. The Lighthouse spent $50,000 on rehabilitating their Safe Harbor Day Center services, and funding of $27,000 was went to Co-op Anne Arundel and Superior Futures for mentoring programs. Next slide, please. So the other thing we have to talk about is if we leveraged any funds to augment our program. And Arundel Community Development Services, which runs our housing rehabilitation program, was able to leverage another $51,000 to help with rehabbing the owner-occupied houses that we did. Anne Arundel County was awarded over $2 million in continuum of care funds. Those are funds that are used to provide housing for homeless persons and a number of services throughout the county and the city. The city also received $100,000 in state community legacy funds to refurbish a small park, that little park that's across from Morris Blum. That'll be redone, and it'll be the Robert Eads Park. And then HACA received funds from the state to renovate its 145 units at Morris Blum, and they're in the process of doing that now. Next slide, please. So in that year, the Housing Authority completed its 78 apartments at Wilborn Estates. It's new, it's beautiful, and it's fully occupied. Housing Authority also applied for funds to do the Morris Blum renovation, and the city and the Housing Authority successfully partnered and applied to HUD for a Choice Neighborhoods Planning Grant for the 357 units in the Eastport Terrace and Harbor House properties. It was a $450,000 to do the planning. And that's going on right now. If anybody's interested, I can give you information. We can maybe ask Chia to let us know what the website is if you're interested in that. Next slide. Okay, so we're to the projects. Sorry I zipped through that so fast, but I know you guys are busy and it's nighttime and everybody wants to relax. So we'll go ahead with the CDBG project descriptions. Now I sent everybody like a little cheat sheet so you know what you're going to present. So why don't we start with Co-op Arundel and Yasmin Jameson. Make sure you unmute. Yeah. Make sure you unmute yourself. Hi, nice to see you.
Me too. How are you? How's everyone? Thank you for having me on. Okay, so let's see. I have a video that I could show, but it's like 2 minutes. So I'm I'm the president of Co-op Arundel. We are a small nonprofit, and our mission is to support and develop grassroots programs and services to enrich youth and families in underserved communities, mainly in Annapolis. And so we started 5 years ago, just a few friends of mine, we just got together and just, we were doing things around the community anyway with our own money. We're like, well, let's start a nonprofit so we can maybe get some funding. And so so that's how Co-op Arundel started. And 2020, fall of 2020, a friend of mine who owns People Builders Consulting, Tony Strong Pratt, she came up with this great, program, My Sister's Keeper. MSK is better known as MSK. And so, it's a great program. And she came to me, we're friends. And I'm like, of course, let's do this. So what we do basically is, short, in a short way, we take 15 women from the underserved communities in Annapolis, and we have an 8-week program, 8 Saturdays. We have facilitators, professional facilitators, and the participants get guiders. So they each have a guide, and they go through, I wrote some of this stuff down because, I'll forget. So, the 8 weeks consist of mental health, self-reflection, team building, conflict resolution, financial literacy, goal setting. There's 8 different weeks of it. So they each get a mentor, or we call them guiders, and they go through the whole 8 weeks, and then they have a graduation, and we provide them with Chromebooks and some gift cards to get them going in their professional life. Anyway, so we've finished 4 sessions already. We'll be starting our 5th session the end of January, hopefully. And a little something different is that we are going to now start My Brother's Keeper. So hopefully, that's going to be like a pilot, starting at the same time as MSK does the end of January. And that one will only have 8 participants. And we have 5 already signed up for our MSK program. We already have 15 with 3 on our waiting list. And I can say that our program is very successful. Just out of the 60 participants in the 4 classes, we've had 52 graduate. 20 women have found jobs for the first time. 15 women have been promoted in their jobs, and also 10 women have gone back to school and received their GEDs. 6 women have gone on to higher education. 3 have gotten their driver's licenses. 7 have started their own business or nonprofit. 4 are actually giving back to the community, our program. That one of them's our photographer, another one makes our lunches. And then we've had 3 move out of public housing. 2 have become homeowners, and 6 women are in mental health treatment right now. So, am I answering all the questions? I'm sorry, Marisa.
That's okay.
And so we're not getting we usually get, for the last 2 years, we've received grants thankfully from the city, as well as Anne Arundel Women Giving Together and United Way. But we will not be getting the United Way and the Anne Arundel Women Giving this year because they do 2 years and then you have to take a year off. So we are hoping that the city is gonna come through and help us with this so we can continue with MSK and then build MBK up.
Okay, Well, thank you very much. And
I'm a
Yeah,
little nervous.
that's okay. I finally got to
You
meet
did,
you.
you did a great job. You did
Yeah,
a great
yeah,
job.
Yeah. Do either of the commissioners have any questions?
I guess
Um,
my question would, can I ask the question that if, because we have such limited funding, do you have other sources in case we can't make up that difference?
Well, we have applied for 2 other grants. And of course, I'm still, like looking, but like, to be honest with you, I'm a massage therapist. So this is like brand, for the last couple of years, writing grants and stuff. This is like new. So my treasurer and I sit and try to find grants. And so hopefully, we will, but we'll
Right.
make it happen either way. I mean, we can't not do this program. I mean,
Right.
I want to cry because it's just done so much for
I will
I've got to
forward,
be there and see it.
I'll forward you guys the newspaper article that was in the paper. They got funded under COVID funding.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we're, at least I am familiar with their program, so I'll send that to you and so you can see it, but they had a really nice write-up in the paper, so.
Sounds
Nancy,
like
did
you've
you-
done a lot for the women in the program. It sounds like they've really accomplished a lot, which is great.
Yes, it's beautiful. And the guiders actually, it's not over with just 8 weeks. It's like they become like a family. Everybody's a family, and the guiders follow them. I mean, just
Mhm.
I mean, they're required to follow them for 2 more months, but it's like it's just never ending. And
Well-
it's just it's beautiful.
Well, nice job, and thank you so much
Thanks.
for participating. Next, Reverend Cheryl for Restoration Community Development. Pastor Cheryl. What she might, well, okay, let's go to
Can you
Jesse.
hear me?
Oh, there you are. Now we can.
Okay. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, thank you all for having me. I'm representing Restoration Community Development Corporation, which I'm the executive director, and we have been in existence in Anne Arundel County for now over 20 some years, and particularly in the Annapolis area. My particular project that I am sharing tonight is as a result of what we have found out through the state of Maryland, that ages 12 to 17 in the Annapolis, and also I have the same situation in Brooklyn Park, have the highest amount of teens with mental health and co-occurring disorders of substance use. There's a dual diagnosis that has taken place. We are partners with the city of Annapolis, of course, with the police department. We were the co-starters of Serenity Sisters with Angel Trainer several years ago, which is ASAP, which we meet monthly in the City of Annapolis Police Department. It's a coalition formed as a result of research showing the rates of binge drinking that students are now using. And we found out that during COVID, there's even more usage that has taken place. We are also part of Recovery Anne Arundel, which was we were formerly meeting in Glen Burnie, but now the group is now in Annapolis at Heritage Baptist Church that meets once a month to share with information about the increase in what's going on with our youth and our families with substance abuse, mental health issues, just a plethora of things that are going on. The skill sets of our program allow us to refer to other resources such as community navigators, treatment, counseling to promote family stability. And in the increase of this, as we found out, and I'm sure as you all are aware, in the city of Annapolis, there has been an increase of substance use and also overdoses and a lot of death that has taken place. And what we meet is in the city of Annapolis. We're in Robinwood, and we've been there for 9 years, and we meet with the children. We pick them up from school. We actually have a program that is evidence-based practices that we utilize that are through the state and through the county and through the United States, as a matter of fact. We meet on Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays from 5 to 9 p.m. and on Saturday from 12 noon to 4 p.m. And the H2O Adolescent Clubhouse has many youth and families that are involved. We are also partnered with Pastor Joey from Downtown Hope, which I've known him for years. This particular program is non-clinical, but the participants are referred to the needed counseling and services that they have. We also have been providing through the city of Annapolis, and we are an Anne Arundel County and a Maryland food bank. So we give out food, and we have served literally thousands of persons throughout the city and the county. And while the center, as I said, is non-clinical, what we do is to teach students deal with resiliency, workforce development. We help find jobs for them. We also have character education, music. We provide hot meals for them, homework assistance, computers, and I also have an MOU with Anne Arundel County Public Schools that I've had for over 20 some years. So I actually have the ability to go on the campuses, work with the students, go into the classrooms, and that has been actually my delight. I originally started as an executive with AT&T. I resigned from my job almost 30 years ago to start this nonprofit of restoration community development, as we see there's an increase in suicides and, as I said, mental health issues. So we've been trained by the state of Maryland and the University of Maryland to be what's called ACEs trainer. So I'm a certified ACEs trainer. And for those of you who are not familiar with ACEs, it is adverse childhood experiences, that we're finding some of the core issues are the fact that when a child is in the womb of a mother, the whole goal is for that child to have connectivity and attachment. So if that does not take place in the womb, we're finding out there's some other issues that will occur. In addition to that, we're finding out the fact of trauma, which is a major, major piece that is going on, not only just in our city, but are in our country. And there's a lot of suicidal ideologies. The services that we provide for the students are for resilience.
Oops, we lost you.
I'm sorry, we're gone?
You're back.
Okay. The services that we provide are for resiliency, workforce development, and even working with the parents. We started probably 18 years ago down in Robinwood doing a program called Strengthening Families. We have been recertified through the University of Maryland because they have upgraded that training now. So we've just gotten recertified a few months ago about that. What we're also finding out that RCDC has an office in HACA, as I said, in the HACA building in Robinwood that allows us direct access to the student. And over the students that we have provided services for, we're seeing, we had a couple of students who through HACA that lived in HACA as a result, has last year actually received scholarships to colleges and universities, and they're still living in fact, we just did a video with one of them through ASAP with Angel Trainer, and it's supposed to be out, but there's still some work that has to be done on that as well. What we also do as we describe the project is that we know that there has developed utilizing evidence-based prep. The programs are called PrEP. These are all evidence-based practices. The PrEP program deals with substance abuse. It deals with sexual involvement. We have ARISE, which is trained, that we've been trained in. I mentioned ACEs. BACVIN is also a national program. In addition, we built a music studio just before COVID started. So we haven't been able to really use it yet, but it's a beautiful place. We had an actual ceremony that took place where it was dedicated. We have been given another room where we are setting up and have set up, and we have food that we're going to, and a baby pantry. So we have 3 baby pantries around Anne Arundel County, so we can give out diapers, we can give out formula, we can give out all types of services that you can think of that would involve the issue that, I don't like the word problem, the opportunity for growth that we see. The statistics prove that the youth mental illness and substance abuse are concerns, and that there are inadequate resources to address them all, especially since COVID. has now infiltrated and affected all of our lives. Most of our information too is that we partner with Dr. Pam Brown and when we read in her Poverty Amidst Plenty, the needs assessment, the rise of behavioral health issues of every age group is a lack of appropriate services, service providers, where major concerns for all participants are in needs and need assessments are being done. And the increase have increased, as I mentioned earlier, since COVID. So what have we identified? We've identified the need for more programming that is evidence-based practices, not only for students, but for the entire family. And that's what we see is missing, the entire family being involved with that nurturing, that attachment, that what we talked about early or in development. So a child is supposed to receive this between ages of from birth to 12 years old. And we're finding out because they don't have the dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin in their brains that actually start coming in at age 12 is not completed until age 25 or 26. And a youth culture will be engrossed in the education, as we have talked about with our clubhouse. This allows students to identify the best positive part of themselves, developing talents, becoming advocates for their own lives. And we believe that by increasing the positive assets and the things that we provide, and as other organizations do, and support systems, that the children can become the best that they can be. We work with AIDS and HIV, infant mortality, and we walk the community, actually. And we've just done something recently where on a Sunday after there was a shooting in Robinwood. So we work with the police department as well, that we walk the communities. We go door to door just to find out how persons are. Talk to Pastor Joey today, as a matter of fact, on a call, because we meet every second or third Thursday of the month. And what we're trying to do is just to unify, to bring other services together so that we can help our community to thrive and survive and eliminate a lot of this overdose, and also those who, I don't like the word, but it's death by suicide. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Cheryl. Do any of the commission members have any questions? Nope. Okay. Okay. We will.
Hey, Teresa, one
Yeah.
thing, sorry. Hi, my name's Elisha Herrick Blaine. I'm a commissioner on the commission. Hey, Pastor Menendez, thank you so much for your presentation and for all the summary of all of the work that you're doing in the community. I would welcome if there's ever any opportunity. You mentioned, I think one of the things that jumped out at me as part of your presentation was you talked about some of the students that you've engaged with having received scholarships.
Yes.
And it would be fantastic to know, to have creative, it's clear that you've got such a creative way of thinking how to kind of integrate in with the community. So if there could be some way of capturing the monetary benefit to the community in order for there to be some form of a cost benefit analysis.
Absolutely.
Of what's going back in, so that you can really then begin to help provide some quantitative evidence that can be used to advocate more for more of the resources that are clearly necessary. So I just thought I'd offer that and really congratulate you on all the work that you've achieved, and thank you for all that you're doing.
Right.
So, and thank you for sharing that, because one of the things that we do, everything that we do, we just don't do feel-good programs. I have to report to the county and to the state on a monthly basis of what we've done. We have budgets of what's been spent. Actually, just invested $20,000 in an actual, what do you call it? Audit, to be sure about what we're doing, and we have to provide that as well. So I welcome that. And one of the things that we can see is even the grades, how the children's grades improve. One thing I did not mention, Teresa, is the fact that having crisis response involved, because we've had a couple of persons who were, don't get me start crying, threatening suicide. So we were able even to get them involved, get crisis intervention involved, and going back to what the original question was, that those students are now working back in, in school. I've met and talked to Dr. Maisha Gilliam from the Anne Arundel County Public School System. As I said, I've had an MOU with Anne Arundel County Public Schools for over 25 years. I quit my job as an executive with AT&T to do this. So I'm saying yes, absolutely, positively, yes. So think about it. If there were no programs, we would have never had an opportunity to meet those children, help them, and even save lives. So I even had someone from one of the students' school in Towson University came to the clubhouse to actually thank us for this student. And I don't want to call anybody's name. If you need them, I will provide that information. But we have a actual program that we have to file everything, every dime, every dollar, even providing to Teresa or whoever else that it is. So yes, sir. And I think for those who know me, know around the county, around the state, of the work that we do and how we're involved with helping people, children, and families.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Thank you again. Let's go to Jesse from OIC.
Hi, and thank you for having me. Hey, Teresa, haven't met the rest of the board, but thank you for supporting the OIC. I am the executive director here. I took over from Mr. Green. I relocated from a bigger OIC in Wilson, North Carolina. Mr. Green retired, and my intentions are to grow this OIC. There used to be 130 OICs throughout the United States that were funded by the federal government. Now there's only 38 OICs left. With one of the biggest ones that I left was North Carolina, and then our sister OIC in Washington, D.C. Every OIC has different needs. The one that I came from, it was basically re-entry. And what we do here at the OIC is we have GED, we specialize in GED classes, job readiness classes, re-entry services, ESL classes. And one of the things that in coming here that I found out was that there was a huge Latino population. There is a huge Latino population. I don't know if you guys know this, but in 2020, the state of Maryland ranked 13th in having the most Hispanics in the state out of all the states.
Yeah, didn't know
And
that.
I sent Teresa over our second quarter report yesterday, and I'm just going to read a little bit of it. Hispanics are the second largest minority group in Maryland, representing nearly 350,000 people, accounting for 6.0% of the state's population. The Hispanic community in Maryland is centered around Montgomery, Prince George's County, and Anne Arundel County. Where do most Hispanics live in Maryland? Well, Anne Arundel County is the fourth largest county in Maryland, and the Hispanic community, as the largest demographic group, has grown the most according to the 2020 census data at 9.7% of the total population. There's just under 57,000 Hispanics that are living here in Anne Arundel County. So what does that mean? A lot of these Hispanics do not speak English. So one of the things that we found out was when people would sign up for our classes, they didn't understand English. So after doing some research, I found out that if we created a Spanish GED and Spanish job or Spanish GED classes, they would be equivalent to the English GED classes. So since we started that, and let me go back a little bit. We're only funded for 50 participants annually, right? That's all we've been really funded for. In 2021, we had 120 participants. And we didn't want to turn anybody away. We went 100% virtual because of COVID. Now, we were going 100% virtual anyway, because that's where the market's going. You can't apply for a job just by walking in anymore. You have to fill everything out online. Out of those 120, 30 of them were non-Hispanic.
Mm.
This year, in our second quarter, we have a total of 54 participants already enrolled. 16 are non-Hispanic and 38 are Hispanic, non-English speaking. So that shows us that there's a need. This is just the second quarter of this year. So there's a huge need for this for our services. And before the pandemic, Miss Pam Brown got with me, and she had a lot of participants that didn't speak English, and she wanted to help them. So we were going to set up these classes and everything, but then the pandemic happened. Like I said, I took everything virtual. And now we're actually not going back, because the one thing we eliminated is transportation. That's the number one issue that every nonprofit has, is transportation. So we've eliminated that. Now, if somebody needs a Chromebook, we have a grant in place to where, Ms. Pam Brown gave us funding to give Chromebooks to brand new Chromebooks to anybody that needs a Chromebook. So those are just some of my numbers. We partner with the county executive on a community support grant. The city of Annapolis, Community Foundation of Anne Arundel County, ACDS, Charting Careers, Center of Help, United Way, and again, like Ms. Jameson, since we received funding for the past 2 years, we have to skip a year before we can apply again for that funding with the United Way. Arundel Lodge is our partner. The police, Anne Arundel Police Department is our partners. They send all of their reentry people over for the reentry services that we provide. Community Action Agency is another partner that we have. So, and you guys. And I intend on, to continue, my intention is to continue to grow this OIC and to hopefully make it as big as the one in Washington, D.C., and the one in Philadelphia, the one in North Carolina. I think you're muted, Teresa.
You're right. Thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
No, just to say what a great program it is.
Yeah, I know. It's
I'm lucky to have you. Thank you.
yes.
Thank
And
you.
it really is the
It's
only
been around
job
for a
skills.
long time. And
Yeah.
it's good to see that it continues, and it seems to be flourishing, which is.
We've been here for over
important.
44 years.
Yeah. And across the country, it's been
Mhm.
around
Right.
that long.
And it's really the only job skills program that we have.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So it's a very
Right.
valuable program.
We're the only ones in Spanish and English now as well.
That's
Wow.
wonderful.
Congrats.
Right.
That's great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So next we'll go on to Blessed in Tech Ministries.
Great evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Teresa. We're William Dolores Bullock from Blessing Tech Ministries. We're a place of empowerment, and we meet our community right where they are. Our goal is to encourage and to flourish everyone, whether they're homeless, whether they're unemployed, seeking a new lease on life. We are there to stand in the gap to make sure that they're able to get everything they want. Our program is, again, Defeat the Streets, but what we've done is incorporated a few other programs in to enhance it. I want to talk a little bit about both of the two programs that we incorporated. It's called Meta Beauties. Meta Beauties is making every transformation achievable beauties, and that's for our youth, our female youth. That program has been designed because the Department of Juvenile Services reached out to us and asked about us mentoring some of their at-risk youth. And we've been very successful in doing that with our Boys to Men program. So we wanted to put it under the umbrella of the Defeat the Streets program. And what's been happening with the programs themselves is we're finding that we're not just mentoring the actual child, but we're mentoring the entire family. Just like Pastor Menendez indicated, it's an environmental and family issue. We're dealing with trauma, we're dealing with addictions, we're dealing with children that want to kill themselves because they're depressed, severely depressed. And we have some that have peer pressure. We have a gamut of different issues that we're dealing with in both programs right now. It doesn't limit what we do for the adults, our seniors, in our Defeat the Streets program. Of course, we help with the homeless. And I'm not sure if you all read in the, I'm sorry, in our application about at the height of the pandemic, we lost 1,231 individuals, including children, experiencing homelessness in Anne Arundel County. And then we're also talking about those individuals who are working with the homeless outreach team, working with that are in shelters, that are street homeless, and all. And then also, these were mostly due to evictions during that time, and that's just in July 2020 to June 30th, 2021. Okay, and then in July 2021 to June 2022, it went up to 1,095. 1,095 individuals that are considered homeless. And from July 22 to November 30, 22, we have 605 still homeless. I mean, it has decreased, and we have been successful in helping that number to decrease by finding homes and helping them to find different ways to get off of the streets and into housing. We also want to know that we focus on Annapolis. Not only do we help the homeless here, we run the Stanton Center Winter Relief Program. We were the only winter relief program in existence during the height of the COVID pandemic. And we still have to take in many other, I'm going to say, undesirables to, and those are the ones that are under the influence and will not be accepted by any other shelter or any other winter relief program. But we're able to manage that particular program successfully, ensuring that there's minimal issues. And I say this because under the umbrella of the Defeat the Street, we encompass here because that's the only time we can reach them. We try to make sure that we connect them up with the Department of Social Services outreach team. We make sure that they get whatever services they get in our care.
Was trained and yes, you feel like.
And our staff the escalation, the first aid, mental health. We just, NORCAN, we make sure that our staff across the board is trained. We also run the Food Friday pantry and also a mobile pantry to make sure that the city of Annapolis is not, we're meeting the need of food insecurity as well. I'm trying to think, what else do? We do so many things. We also do case management, training for computers and soft skills like work empowerment seminars. Oh wow. What else do we do? We say the gap.
Isn't that enough?
The gap for the city of Annapolis. Whatever you all need us to do, we
Right.
do it. We never say no. If you
Right, they don't ever say no. And we greatly appreciate that. Do any of the commissioners?
Yes.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions of this group? Yes, they ran that Food Fridays program for a couple of years, and I can't remember how many thousands of people were helped with that program. So we really appreciate that.
It's in the tens of thousands. And we currently, every week, serve over 200 individuals that are disabled and elderly. Also the tornado fund, or the water bill relief fund, you name it, we did it. We're here for the city of Annapolis, and we appreciate your support.
And we appreciate all the work that you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next up is ARC, Judy.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having
Good.
me.
Nice to
I'm
meet
Judy
you.
Olinger, and I'm representing the ARC of Central Chesapeake, which is been around, gosh, I think we're past 50 years at this point, providing community supports for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I say I'm representing the ARC because they're the one who submitted the application, but Chesapeake Neighbors, who I work for, is an affiliate of the ARC, and we develop and manage all of their residential properties. So our application impacts a lot of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. It's hard following all this great work that's being done for such vulnerable populations on day-to-day services. But what we're looking for is funding to improve and renovate one of our homes. So we currently provide housing services in Anne Arundel County to about 120 individuals with disabilities. And over time, some of the homes need improvement. So we reach out and get grants from various departments and various private foundations and fundraising efforts. This particular home has been, we've been undergoing some renovations, and it has a very old boiler system that needs to be replaced with an upgraded, efficient HVAC system. We're looking to do that, and we have, been putting other monies into the complete renovation. You certainly have been a partner in this, as well as other projects. So I think you're familiar with it. And so I'm not sure if there's additional questions that you have. It's pretty simple application.
Right. I don't have any questions. Do the commissioners have any questions?
The home is in
It's in Annapolis.
Annapolis, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I can give you the
One you want
details.
funding for is in Annapolis.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can give you the details when I send you copies of the application.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming and.
Sure, no problem. Thanks.
So, Housing Authority, Chia Cook.
Good evening. I'm Chia Cook with the Housing Authority of the City of Annapolis, and I certainly am honored and delighted to be before you today. And the Housing Authority's mission is to provide quality and attainable housing in safe and attractive communities for families, for individuals, for the elderly, and persons with disabilities based on income and need. Our application that we submitted is for our Robinwood community located on Tyler Avenue, which is 150 townhomes and was constructed in 1970 for public housing residents. This community serves our larger families with 3, 4, and 5 bedroom townhomes, and it currently houses over 400 residents in the Robinwood community. Now, HACA partners with a developer to complete this rehabilitation of the property, and we are expecting to partner with them in 2023 and construction to begin on this project in about March of 2024, and for the project slated to be completed by 2025. This type of project is about mid-$30 million or so. So financing will come from a number of different sources to include HUD, to include the state, to include the county, to include the city, as well as private investors. We certainly are incredibly grateful for the city's partnership with our Choice Neighborhood Initiative grant for our Eastport Harbor House, and that website is eastportcni.org. There's been some great press as well in the paper about many of those sessions, and just reimagining that community. And the Housing Authority has put in for redevelopment of all of our communities, and so those public housing units will then transition into vouchered units. And that certainly is a more stable, viable revenue stream for the agency. And it also gives the residents flexibility with that voucher as well. So once again, I appreciate the opportunity to be before all of you, and certainly to see the and hear from our existing partners as well. And I'm delighted to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
I have a question, and I apologize because I'm behind the times in understanding. So Robin Wood's being redeveloped?
Yes, Robin Wood is.
Yeah, and how many units will be in the new development?
It will be a 1-for-1 replacement. So there are currently 150 townhomes. And so we will then do a rehab, really a gutting out of that property. The bones of it are really strong. So it will really be just the replacement of those 150 townhomes.
So it's not new site design, the same site design and everything, or is it being changed?
It is seen as existing, the existing site that we currently have, and just giving the guts, an update, a modern, new energy efficient home.
So
You're not
structures
you're not doing demo. You're not demolishing them.
right, so the structures will be the same. Okay,
Yeah.
just
It's
a
a-
quick,
it's-
and
it's a
I'm
rehab.
sorry, I should know this, and a lot of people have been involved in this plan, and I'm just asking questions, and I apologize, but what I've read is part of the problem is the layout for the police, that it's, well, there's one way in and one way out, right? And circular roads. I'm just wondering if you're gonna do any kind of crime prevention through redesigning parts of this, of the site. Maybe you keep the buildings, but whether you're gonna improve access and moving around the development. That's just what and I'm not an expert, it's just what I've read in the paper over the years and heard on the news, so.
And those are all incredibly valid points, and a great question. So we certainly will be revisiting what we can do to, with our partners with APD to increase, the overall just a sense and security of our community.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
Thanks.
And just to affirm what I think I heard you say, it's that the long-term intent is to transition these units into being 100% voucher. Is that right?
That is correct. So our entire portfolio has been applications have been put in for all of our communities, for our public housing units to convert into vouchers, the rental assistance demonstration, or formerly, also known as RAD.
So
And just, can you educate me, will those be project-based or tenant-based?
Project-based. Mhm.
Oh,
Thank you.
project-based, okay. That was
Thank
gonna
you.
be my question as well, because the notion of families taking their voucher and leaving, and then that unit having no assistance is quite frightening in the future, so.
No,
Okay.
we want to retain the affordable housing component
Okay.
within
All right,
Annapolis,
good.
so that our residents have wonderful new homes that they absolutely love and can enjoy their communities.
Okay,
All righty. Thank you very much. I think we've gotten to everybody now. So presenters, the next steps are, I have your applications. I'll be reviewing them to make sure they're complete and that your projects are all eligible. And then we'll be sending them out to the commissioners for them to take a look at. And the money isn't, as you know, the money doesn't become available until July 1 of next year. So we'll be reviewing them, and then they will go as a package to the city council during the budget period. And then once they pass the budget, you'll get a letter, which is usually in June, saying that you were awarded the funds. And then the funds will be available July 1. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one question. Did we hear from all the applicants tonight?
No,
Okay,
I just got, the application just came in today, so some,
Okay.
like Arundel Lodge wasn't able to participate because they had another commitment. But no, and I did not require everybody.
oh, no, I just wanted to get a sense of how many
Yeah,
applications.
there's a
we have,
couple, 2
that's
or
all.
3 more, yeah, there's about.
Okay, that's
2 or
really
3
my
more.
question. Okay, thanks.
So, yeah, so the presenters are free to go if you like, or you can hang around for the boring part and the more boring part of the meeting if you like. But thank you again and take care. And if you could
Thank you
close the public hearing.
I'm now concluding, we're now concluding the public hearing. And we will go to the normal board activities that we have. So the first order of business is a roll call, and I'm trying to find my agenda again.
You want me to
The
lead
first order of
post?
business is going to be an election of officers, although we only have three of the 4 of our,
You got a quorum.
we do have a quorum, okay.
I think so. I think it says the majority.
So we do have the majority, no question. So I'm going to call for nominations, I guess.
Oh. No, I don't have the agenda, so I'm
So
sorry.
moved.
So the first thing is the election of officers. That's the first thing on our, we've already called it to order before we started the public hearing part of it. So now we'll have the election of officers. Because unfortunately, Kathy has decided that she has a conflict of interest and cannot serve on the board or serve as our chairman. So we're going to have a new board, a new commission chair. And I suppose what we have to do is somebody has to nominate.
I nominate you, Nancy.
I second.
Is there a second?
And I'm sure Pat would say yes too.
Bring a second.
In abstention.
What?
So you've been nominated? Your nomination's
Yeah,
been seconded?
nominated and seconded, so I'll call for the vote. I guess I have to say yes, since I told Kathy I would do it. So
Aye.
all
I,
those in favor, aye. Okay. All those opposed?
The size 3 is a unique way of being efficient, that's for sure.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Are you gonna do a co-chair, Nancy?
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So then the next thing on our agenda, now that we've concluded this, is our roll call, and for
Nancy,
all those who are here. Yes,
are you gonna also vote for a co-chair? Or you?
Yes.
why don't we wait and.
Okay, all righty,
let's-
that's fine.
I think we should wait. Yeah, I think we should wait
Okay.
until, because I don't know how many more meetings we're gonna have until we have more of a complement of members.
Oh, okay.
I would like to try to get more members before we do that. I
Okay.
think.
Looks like my
Um,
co-chair candidate likes that idea, so I will not push the issue.
Oh,
I
is that
have
gonna
no
be
problems
Elijah?
with that plan of action, that is for sure.
Okay. All right. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the roll call. So I will call Elijah Herrig Blaine,
Here,
Carrie Bond,
Here?
and Nancy Libson. I am here. So there are 3 of the 4 of us here for this night's meeting. Next item on the agenda is approval of the June meeting minutes. It was a long time ago, guys. So and it appears as though the last meeting that we had was also a public hearing. So it was very similar to tonight's meeting. When I read them over, having not remembered that much about them, but they seem to be complete from what I can remember. So, and I don't even know if Elijah was on the commission at that point.
I think it might have been my first meeting. I can't even
Your
remember.
first meeting was the public hearing?
I think it was.
Okay, well, so I'm gonna-
Clearly, that memory is not.
It was a while ago, but we've done some good things in the interim, even if we haven't had a meeting. So I will, are there any additions or corrections to the minutes that either of you has?
No.
No?
No.
Can I ask for someone to call for the approval of the meeting minutes?
So
Terry,
moved?
let's switch things up. I'll move it first.
Okay.
There you go. Got to keep our secretary on their
So is there a
toes, you know?
Oh, can I second it
So,
or third it or
Yes.
just say yes? Is that what I do?
yep. So Elijah having moved and Terry having seconded, the meeting minutes for June have been adopted. Since there are only 3 of us here. And we've already done the public hearing. The next thing on the agenda is adjournment. Is there any new business before we adjourn? Anything else that anyone wants to just put on the agenda?
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
I may be out of order. I don't know. When is the legislation for workforce housing going to the city council?
The first opportunity for it to go, and I don't know that it will go, is in January.
Okay. Well, okay. So, all right.
Yeah, not until January.
Okay.
So.
All right.
We might want to do another call sometime early in January or even before that to try to see if there's anything we need to do before then, anything we want to do, not need to do, but want to do before then. I know Teresa, you're going to be meeting with the staff in the of the city so that we can sort of reinstitute our relationship with the staff so they know we're here and that they ought to talk to us before. They should be talking with us as they try to move the legislation along. I think according to Jackie from the call we had the other day, the next steps are that the recommendations that the Planning Commission had will be considered by the sponsors of the legislation and by the council to see what, if any, of those changes will be incorporated, and then what other changes there might be before it even gets to city council formally. Is that what you remember as well, Teresa?
I think so.
Yeah. So at this point, I think we just sort of are waiting to see what Dewan has in mind.
So I guess all I'd ask for is get a decent heads up if it is coming, so we can.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, we'll keep up with that and
great.
see what's going on. So I just wanted to let you know
Yeah,
that I
mean,
did,
that's essentially why you're going to be meeting with the staff, right, Teresa?
well, I did
try
want to let you,
reinst-
I did want to let you know that I did have a discussion with the planning director about the commission being able to review more projects and have things
Good.
referred. And he said he thought that was a good idea.
Good.
And he's going to look into it. So,
Okay. great.
Thank
But there's a lot of things to think about for next year. You know, there's pilots, there's MPDU, there's
There's
all
land,
kinds of
you asked me about land trusts also.
land trust. Yeah, there's a lot of different things, if, you know, to research, if you know, and make recommendations on, if you know, want to do that. So, you know, maybe in January, the group
We
might
can
want to think
develop
about,
somewhat of an agenda.
develop what you're going to do for the, you know, what your tasks are going to be for the
Right.
year. If, you know,
that-
if that's what you
I think
want to
That's a
do.
good idea.
So
That
a
would be-
great idea. And then maybe we'll also be able to bring in some new members that'll help us do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And I know setting a pilot procedure was high on your agenda, Teresa.
Well, yeah, it was. But I think that was one of the recommendations of this commission. So
Right.
I was looking to the commission to start maybe perhaps doing some research on that. Basically, I would stick to just the state.
And not go
Initially.
outside. Yeah.
Initially, and I already did a whole spreadsheet
Right.
of
I remember
pilots.
that.
Yeah, so I did that. So that's already there to look at, and then you can look at that and then go out, you know, go outside. It's up to you.
Yeah, maybe we can, I can figure out who at CDA had, or I guess they're the ones, is it CDA? Who has examples of pilot agreements that they have.
No, it wouldn't be CDA. It would be each jurisdiction.
Oh, okay. Well, but the state
CD
has, the state doesn't have pilots.
They,
That's right.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
the state doesn't do pilots. It would be local government.
And I know
so-
Kathy is working on pilot agreements for
Right.
ACDS. That's part of what she's doing.
Right,
So-
right. So there
So
should be
we can
enough,
talk to her again as well.
yeah, though there should be enough around to
Right, I
Um,
think so.
figure out what we want to do. And even if we want to have a formal one or not, I just need to internally, what I'd like to do is set up a procedure internally, like how these things move around, because there isn't one.
Right.
So,
Whoever gets it.
and that's
Then
something
give
that
it to
I
somebody
would
else.
add,
Yeah.
I can add to the, you know, recommendation. So.
Teresa, I think that'd be a great recommendation. I think
So-
that's one of the things that we've talked about for a while,
Mhm.
is that it's a weird amalgamation of too many cooks in the kitchen and not enough order. You know, like there's lots of people weighing in,
Right.
but then there's like no order. And then we're seeing that with the legislation as we get to the end point
Mhm.
or to the beginning of the end point, and we've got 4 different kind of quadrants almost pointing 4 different ways and trying to like
And that is actually, and that's all.
and then we've got
actually
the public
organized.
comment.
Right, but that's already, that's the system. It's already in place.
Or lack
And
thereof.
it's that complicated. And luckily Jackie's the one that I always turn to, and Eric, because I don't typically get involved in writing legislation. Because my program, most of my stuff is governed by state and federal government stuff. The only legislation I've really been involved in is MPDU, which I didn't write. The planning department, inclusionary zoning, planning department wrote that. Or just tweaking little changes, but not actually being involved in the whole process. So that's why I depend on Jackie.
And that
Right.
coordination was a big recommendation coming out of the Housing Affordability Task Force as well, was recognizing that was necessary. So I think that's
Right.
right in line with,
Right.
we can kind of always go back and point to that report as well and help
Right.
ground us out a little bit.
Right, the
Um,
other thing too is CDBG, we're kind of in a strange place with CDBG because of the change in the commission and how things work. So we didn't get very many applications. I was very surprised. I don't know if it was the way I sent out the information. I kept sending information out. People weren't reading it. Maybe it was too much. I don't know, but we got very few applications. There's nothing that there's no real process. I mean, like there used to be, because the old process was sort of illegal.
Just sort of illegal, right? Just sort of.
Well, it was, never mind. But anyway, so what I thought I would do is, you guys said you wanted to review stuff, so I'm going to send you the applications to review. And I've got to go through this whole spreadsheet or this whole checkoff list with HUD stuff. So when I get those done, it usually takes me most of December to finish those. I'll send you the ones that make it through. I'll wait until January to send those for you to look at, and then you can tell me. Then we can into January discuss what we want to do. I mean, basically, the only thing your committee can really do is just comment.
Right.
Yeah, vote on them, or you can review them and comment. So we'll figure out how we want to go from there on CDBG. But I will be sending you. I'll put them in a Google Drive so everybody can access Google. So
Right.
Thank you.
I finally figured out how to do it.
So I don't have anything else.
Okay. All righty.
Following up just on our conversation on Monday, I have reached out to Dewan about having the 05022 routed back over. Teresa, you're still going to reach out to Quentin, right?
Reach out to
Quentin.
About
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, about being on the, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now there's two people really, because Greg. Who mentioned Greg Cantori?
Terry did.
Okay, so we got two.
Potential.
You're muted, Terry.
I mentioned it at the beginning of the meeting. You weren't here yet, Elijah. I was talking to Greg Cantori about something else and thought about doing a project for me, helping me around the house. And I realized he might be a really good candidate for being on this commission, but I don't know if he lives in the city.
I've got somebody else in mind too.
Okay.
Who's in housing finance.
Okay, well, maybe that would be good. We have, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
because
Who is it?
you've got three,
Yeah, we have
vacancies.
3. So. But I mean,
Okay.
I just put that out there. I don't really know him other than having him have done projects. I wanted to ask you all about
Right,
that.
and like I said, he did come to, I think it was when I first started working for the city.
Mhm.
He came to the Housing and Community Development Committee and made a presentation on, I think it was affordable housing.
He was big in the ADU legislation. I know he's big on that,
Yeah,
accessory
no, he'd be
dwellings.
great.
Yeah, so, and he's got a planning background. I didn't realize
Right.
that, but I looked him up, but so,
If you have a way, a contact information, like an email or a phone number. we
I
could
do
send
from his business, Little Deeds.
That's fine.
Okay, send it
If
to
you
you
could
or?
send it- Yeah, me.
Okay, I will. Yep, will do.
Okay.
Since I feel comfortable talking to him, since I, have a connection from.
But Elijah, go. I think you should pursue your other thought too,
Will do. And then I'm also McGuire Woods, I think I had mentioned. I talked with a partner there at the Virginia Housing Conference. I moderated a session at the Governor's Housing Conference on racial segregation and zoning. And this guy, Jim Dyke, is a partner at McGuire Woods. And I'm teaching a course on housing policy at Virginia Commonwealth University. So I've asked, and like the McGuire Woods, after George Floyd's murder, did a whole presentation on how to reverse the impacts of racial segregation through zoning. And like the whole point of the presentation culminates with local municipalities ought to pass ordinances that allow for exactly what 4022 does.
Right, right.
So I talked with him about A, presenting as a guest speaker at that course I'm teaching, and then B, hey, McGuire Woods is a nationally recognized law firm on real estate and land use planning. Can you submit a letter on behalf of the firm, or at least individually as a partner at the firm, in support of the legislation? And he was like, oh yeah, just, draft up whatever you want, send it on over to me. So, I mean, the man's just exceptional. And advised Governor Wilder and advised Mondale as well back in the day. So
That's what I was
working
going
on
to
that.
ask you. I think I know him.
I mean,
I think I know Jim Dyke.
like he's probably, I would guess, like this is where you start getting yourself in trouble, right? Like I would guess maybe he's in his maybe early 70s, African-American man.
Yeah.
Um,
He used to work with my closest friend who worked for Mondale for years.
I mean,
So I
he's
do
just
know
like
him.
so generous and just a wealth of knowledge. Just a
So he's
wealth.
he's a young man. I like that.
He is.
Yes,
He's moving. He's not letting life take him down slowly. That's for sure. He's moving. And then I felt like there was one. Oh, and then I am still waiting on the CEO of the Chesapeake Conservancy to write a letter on behalf of the Conservancy to specifically Rob Savage.
Oh, good for
Because
you.
of their relationship with Rob. And I've been emailing with the CEO and a prominent board member of theirs. And the board members come back in and said, like, yeah, let's do it. It's been the CEO that's been like, let's take a look at this.
Yeah, well,
Um,
one of the things, Lodge, from the call on whatever day that was, Tuesday, that we sort of came up with is that both Rob and Ross maybe lost cause.
Hey, can I ask a question? Do we still have, this law, are any outside folks still listening?
This is on YouTube.
Okay, so let's not, let's
Oh,
Hey, I'm very comfortable.
no,
with the public- with the
everything, it's
public
just that
knowing it. I'm
Nancy
quite
was
comfortable
going
with the
somewhere that
public
I don't
knowing
think, right.
because
What?
the reality is that
Mhm.
that what is often cited is that the environmental impacts of denser development
I
run
know.
contrary to the overall environmental concerns of the community. And we know simply that is not true.
Oh,
It's
yeah. No,
just
I-
not
I
true.
totally agree.
It is a false choice, and that false choice needs to be made as part of the public dialogue. So I've got no problem weighing in that I, as a commissioner, am working with environmental groups in the community so that this whole environmentalist versus development dichotomy can
Right.
start be broken down, because it is a false
Oh,
choice.
Elijah,
and it should be actively
Elijah,
worked
it wasn't your comment. I was just where Nancy, I think, was going. I just thought maybe she shouldn't go there.
I think you're right.
And I think you have a very good point, Elijah. And, building an already developed communities that have the infrastructure, that's a lot less than taking brand new land out there and expanding, so it's very
Exactly.
different. I agree with
So
you.
I'm very hopeful that this
Smart
letter,
growth.
written by both Jim and Chesapeake Conservancy, can go to all of the council members, and that we will then know that we can reference it, and because we know that they've seen it at that point.
Right. I
Okay.
think
So,
that's
okay,
really-
that's
really
all.
smart.
I wanted to seize the opportunity and save
All right,
myself
so,
like 2 or 3 emails.
Teresa,
So
we
Thank
will
you.
wait-
that's the update.
Teresa, we will wait to hear from you as you learn more about what the future holds for the legislation, so that we know what next steps we need to take,
Right.
each of us individually or as a group. And if there's no more new business, do I have a recommendation for adjournment?
Carrie, I think it's your turn to be first.
Thank you. So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.